It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
They say one man's trash is another man's treasure, and this goes for trout and how biologists feel about them too. Take the brook trout, for example. This native fish of the eastern United States has been planted in waters all over the country. And call me a softie, but I do love to catch them. They are beautiful fish, but the problem with brook trout is they can quickly overpopulate small mountain lakes and they become stunted, leaving you with a lake full of little 4-inch brook trout and just about nothing else. Then there's the lake trout, also known as the Mackinaw. It's a big fish and on the top of the food chain in many waters. Like the brook trout, the Mackinaw was planted in lakes all over the nation. The problem with the lake trout, though? It outcompeted other species, especially native cutthroat trout in the West. That's why there's been a lake trout eradication program in Yellowstone National Park at Yellowstone Lake for years now. And in waters like Flathead Lake in Montana and Flaming Gorge Reservoir bordering Utah and Wyoming, they even have lake trout derbies to tamp down the Mackinaw numbers in these lakes so native trout or kokanee can flourish. It's not just brook trout and lakers either. In Arizona, the State Fish and Game Agency and the National Park Service are trying to get brown trout out of the Colorado River below Glen Canyon Dam and are offering anglers $25 for every brown trout over 6 inches they catch and keep from there. Once again, this is being done to help out native fish in the Colorado River. Fish biology, it's a funny science that appears to change from generation to generation. This week on America Outdoors Radio, Bill Herzog, author of the book Spoon Fishing for Steelhead, will explain why spoons and spinners, those old school classics for both steelhead and salmon, still work great when it comes to catching these fish out of rivers and streams from the Pacific Northwest to the Great Lakes region to the far northeast reaches of the U.S. and Canada where Atlantic salmon are found. Not only that, but Bill's going to give you some specific tips about how to fish these lures for success. Our friends at WorkSharp have a couple of new items you're going to want to hear about, and Josh Warren will join us to tell you all about the brand new Precision Knife Sharpener hitting stores this weekend, as well as the Micro Sharpener and Knife Tool. The first is made for, as the name implies, precision sharpening of your knives to give you the best edge out there. And the second is something you'll want to have in your pocket the next time you head afield for either a hunting or fishing trip. Veterans Day is in the rearview mirror, but we do have some news in the hour ahead veterans will want to know about, especially if they want to visit our national parks. The next holiday coming up, of course, would be Thanksgiving, and Ryan Neely with Camp Chef will be joining us to explain why you ought to cook that Thanksgiving turkey, whether it be a store-bought one or a wild one you harvested in a pellet grill instead of in an oven. Better still, Ryan's got some great advice to help you cook the best turkey you'll ever eat. What else do we have for you? A personal story about how to break into a gun safe using nothing more than a paper clip. Yep, I did that. And if you own a certain brand of gun safes, you'll want to know more about this hack. We've also got a story about a dog named Wrangler, as well as some other dogs too. As a matter of fact, let's share those stories about our four-legged friends right now. We talk from time to time about hunting dogs on this show, and we love them, but what about fishing dogs? Yeah, that's a thing. That really is a thing, and with us here to tell you more about fishing dogs and the traits you ought to look for a companion to take with you on the water is outdoors writer Randy Bonner. Randy, great to have you on the air.
Good to be back.
So, Randy, you've got an article that's going to be published in Salmon Trout Steelheader this February about this very subject, and you just lost your best friend and fishing dog, Wrangler. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about this really cool dog that was your companion for a long time?
Well, I've had him for almost 14 years. He would have been 14 in January, and we've done a lot of fishing in multiple states, and he's been in every kind of boat you can imagine, from a canoe to a 52-foot offshore boat, bass boat, drift boat, jet boat. He's been in every kind of boat you could possibly imagine, and he's pretty well adapted to the water.
So what kind of dog was Wrangler, and why was he a good fishing dog?
Wrangler was a Australian cattle dog, Australian Kelpie mix. And, there's a lot of different breeds that I've seen on the water. And, I'm definitely playing favorites with the cattle dog, the Blue Heeler. And I've got a few reasons for it. I feel like they're tough as nails, for one, because they're built for being kicked by cattle.
Right.
And they're agile. They're real popular in dog frisbee competitions. And they're just good at getting in and out of boats, not like jumping on rods. And, they're pretty aware of their surroundings and obstacles. They're really obedient and loyal. They're almost to the point that they're a little neurotic. They'll follow you everywhere without a leash. And, when you're going down narrow docks and slips and whatever. Probably the only real problem that I had with Wrangler in those kind of situations is multiple occasions where we're coming down the dock and we're getting ready to load up in the boat, and he's so excited to go that he just jumped in the first boat that he saw. And I can't tell you how many times he's done it, and all the other anglers in that boat are like, what the hell is this dog doing in our boat? And I'm like, I'm sorry, like, hop out, that's not the right boat. And he just hopped right out and be like, okay, well, where are we going?
That's funny. That's funny. I've had a couple dogs that one was a good fishing dog. My current one, not so much. In fact, my current one's sitting right at my feet. She's a Springer Spaniel, and she loves the water, which you would think would be a good thing, but she wouldn't stay in the boat. She goes in the boat, she jumps in the water, and she just wants to stay in the water, not to mention the fact, no situational awareness. She'll step on every fishing rod or shotgun that might be in the boat because she just wants to get in and out of the boat and in and out of the water. On the other hand, had a golden retriever named Gracie, who loved to go fishing with me. I would be steelhead fishing or trout fishing, and she would be sitting there, just belly deep in the water, waiting for those fish to come. The only problem I had was she thought the fish I was catching were for her and not for me when I reeled them in. Let's talk about some of the traits that make a good fishing dog. With Wrangler in mind, if you want a dog that's going to be a companion with you on the water, what kind of traits should you look for in a dog?
Well, you can look for traits all day, and it's really just you're guessing, And I don't really think, honestly, that you can train a dog to be what Wrangler was. And, I feel like in a lot of ways I just got lucky. And, I think what's more realistic is adapting to your dog's personality. And you can kind of have a little bit better guess at a dog's personality from its breed, but every dog is an individual just like us, and they all have their own individual personalities, and it's more realistic to adapt to what those personalities are with that individual dog and learn how to use those to your advantage. So, Wrangler really liked to retrieve, and he liked to swim, and it took me years to figure it out, but there was one year where we were bobber fishing on the river, and I broke off, and I just had minimal gear on me at the time. And I was like, oh, man, that was my only bobber. How am I going to fish now? Because it was tidewater.
Right.
And, it's not like I can just switch to drift fishing. So, I remember throwing sticks out in the water, and he couldn't find the stick. So I'd just throw a rock and make a splash, and he'd turn, and he'd find the stick.
Right.
So I was like, I wonder if he'd bring this bobber back. And I started throwing rocks at the bobber, like, go get it. And sure enough, he brought the bobber back, and I got to keep fishing. And, he was probably 9 or 10 years old when that happened. And then I started to get good at it. I'd see bobbers floating down the river. I'm like, free bobber, go get it, Wrangler. And eventually that turned into, I wonder if he'd retrieve a duck.
Right.
And by the time he was 11 years old, people say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but by the time he was 11 years old, I had him retrieving waterfowl.
And this is a cattle herding dog, right?
Correct. And I don't know of any other cattle dog that retrieves ducks. There might be one out there, but I don't know of one.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to read this article about Wrangler and about fishing dogs when it comes out in Salmon Trout Steelheaded in February. But in the meantime, folks, if you're looking for a companion to join you on the water or in the boat, again, you want a dog that's going to be obedient and loyal and calm in the boat and situationally aware and definitely wants to be with you all of the time. That's what to look for if you're looking for a fishing dog, and cattle dogs might be a good place to start. Randy, thanks for sharing this great story about Wrangler today and for giving us some ideas about maybe a companion to have on the water with us.
Good talking with you, John.
We've been telling you about Sportsman's Cove Lodge in Southeast Alaska for a while now, and there's a reason. They are the only Alaska lodge we talk about in this show. It's because they're truly Alaska's best lodge. The adventure starts with a float plane ride from Ketchikan, after which you'll get the chance to experience some of the best hospitality, food, and wonderful people you'll ever meet. Wildlife is abundant, from bears and deer to eagles and whales, and let's not forget the reason you're here, the fishing. Halibut, salmon, lingcod, rockfish, true cod, and more. It's all waiting for you in abundance at Sportsman's Cove Lodge. Book your trip today at alaskasbestlodge.com. That's alaskasbestlodge.com for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
The Dalles in Oregon is your base camp for fishing fun. Reel in big salmon, tangle with steelhead, bass, and walleye, or wrestle a monster sturgeon to the boat. After the day is done, you'll find a variety of lodging options around town. Need to resupply? We've got you covered with sporting goods stores plus great dining, breweries, wineries, and can't-miss attractions like the Gorge Discovery Center. Plan your fishing getaway today at explorethedalles.com. That's explorethedalles.com.
Ready to step up to a quality-built rifle or shotgun that's a true classic? Check out Henry Repeating Arms. American-made. There's over 150 models to choose from in a variety of finishes and calibers for hunters and target shooters. Many of these are lever-action models with a classic look right out of the Old West. Don't be deceived, though. Henry Repeating Arms are modern, rugged, reliable, and have a lifetime guarantee. Find out more and order a free catalog today at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com.
Next on America Outdoors Radio, we've got something brand new for you. It is hitting Amazon this weekend on the 15th. It's from WorkSharp. It is the Precision Adjust Knife Sharpener. And if you want to have incredibly sharp pocket knives or kitchen knives, you are going to want this brand new sharpener. With us here to tell you more about it is Josh Warren from WorkSharp. Josh, great to have you back on the air.
Hey, John, I'm happy to be here.
So this is a manual knife sharpener, but it's not like any other knife sharpener I've seen from WorkSharp. Tell our listeners more about it.
Yeah, describing it on air here, I'll do my best. There's four main components. There's a base unit and a tower that rests on the base, and attaching to that tower is a rod that swivels and has an abrasive mounted on it, and a clamp that also attaches to the tower that holds the knife horizontal to the table or work surface. The rod is positioned on a lead screw or a set screw that determines the angle, and that's the height above the blade that the rod is fastened to. And then on that rod, there's an abrasive that slides back and forth, and that abrasive makes contact with the knife at the angle that you set. What's really cool about that is that it's set for the entire sharpening process. So every single stroke is set at the same exact angle. There's no, some of our systems have a guide.
Right.
And as soon as you begin your stroke across a bench stone or a whetstone, something like that, you still have to maintain that muscle memory and maintain that angle. But this has the clamp and the angle set through that lead screw, which maintains perfect consistency throughout the whole stroke. And really, I'm telling you, the results that I get on my personal knives, this has become one of my favorite ways to sharpen a knife.
It certainly seems like the name, Precision Adjust, is the perfect name for it. Like you said, it's all about the angle, and I guess different knives need different angles for the best edge, don't they?
Yeah, there's a little bit of this is up to user preference, and if you dive into the world of knife nerds, everyone has a different opinion, but in general, a fine kitchen knife is going to be anywhere between 15 or up to 20 degrees for more of the Western style kitchen knives. If it's like a Cutco or a Wusthof, maybe more like 20 degrees, but a Japanese knife like a Shun may be closer to 15 degrees. Fine pocket knives, if you are doing fine detail work for field dressing or fillet knives, those are also around 20 degrees. But then as you get into more hardworking knives that you'll use, maybe hardworking everyday tasks or camp knives, you're going to be up to 25 degrees or even 30 degrees for something like a large camp knife.
Wow. I think you just taught me and most of our listeners more about knife sharpening and exactly what angles to use than any of us have ever known before. All right. Well, you've got me sold on the Precision Adjust Knife Sharpener. Again, it's coming out on Amazon Sunday the 15th. That's this weekend, folks. What's it going to retail for?
It'll come in at $59.95.
Okay. Well, this will make the perfect Christmas gift, folks. And make sure you get one for yourself, of course, but then go ahead and get a couple more. Speaking of Christmas gifts, you got to think of stocking stuffers. And one that comes to mind is the Micro Sharpener and Knife Tool. We've been talking the last couple weeks in the show about how important it is if you're a hunter to have a pocket knife sharpener with you so you can have that knife that you're going to use for skinning that game sharp as it needs to be in the field. But this is even smaller. What is it, about 2.5 by 2.5 inches?
Yeah, I don't know those dimensions offhand, but it's real small. People have referred to it as the chip sharpener. It really just, it fits in your pocket and almost disappears.
Oh, it really does. I mean, this is very narrow, very small, the smallest by far of the knife sharpeners that you have. But something I'm curious about, it has these bits in the middle. What are the bits for?
Yeah, it includes T6, T8, and T10 Torx bits. And those will, for the most part, give you the tools you need to disassemble most types of pocket knives. Those are the heads used for the fasteners. So if you are a hunter, although the abrasives on this are relatively small, they will get you sharp in a pinch, or at least keep your knife touched up when you're in the field.
Right.
What's really cool is if you're using a folding knife for field dressing game or breaking down and butchering, there's going to be some debris, as you could say,
Sure.
that gets inside that knife. And if you want to break it down and clean it all out afterwards, the Torx bits will help you break it down and disassemble the knife to clean everything up.
What a brilliant idea. I absolutely love this. I got to ask, do you come up with all these ideas, or do you have a bunch of geniuses in the back room that do this?
Oh, I wish I could take credit for it. They make my job easy.
Well, I absolutely love this. Again, it's the Micro Sharpener and Knife Tool. And as you just heard, it not only sharpens that knife in the field, fits right in your pocket, but you can take apart that knife too, which, as Josh just explained, could be a very handy and important thing to do. This one retails for $12.95. So you can buy a whole bunch of these and put them in stockings, and everyone who gets them is going to like these. So one other thing we have to talk about is where to buy them. Obviously, you can find these, on Amazon, like we said. You can find WorkSharp products at hardware stores, sporting goods stores all over the country, and you can find them on their website, too, at worksharptools.com. And I'm going to steer you there, and here's why. Because when you order the Micro Sharpener and Knife Tool, when you order the Precision Adjust Knife Sharpener, when you order anything from there and you check out, use the coupon code RADIO. Just type in RADIO. Here's why. As soon as you do, and you can thank Josh for this, he's the one that's making this happen. As soon as you do, you're going to get 30% off your entire order plus free shipping. And I've got to tell you, this coupon code is not lasting much longer, so you better take advantage of it now, especially if you want to stock up for the holidays and have a whole bunch of great gifts to give that people are going to love. Use the coupon code RADIO at checkout at worksharptools.com. Josh, love the fact you're constantly coming out with some great tools for folks to use in the kitchen and in the field to keep their knives and tools sharp and ready to use. I hope that you have a great holiday season ahead.
Thanks, John. You too.
Turning to firearm safety and safe storage, I've got a personal story worth sharing with you. It's all about those small safes that you might have under the bed that store your firearms. The safe in this case for our family was made by Stack-On, and it has both a keypad or you can use a key itself, a physical key. Well, we managed to lose the keys years ago. I have no idea where those are at, and unfortunately, the batteries died and we couldn't get into the safe at all, which stores my wife's .38 Special. Don't ever barge in on my wife. She does have a .38 Special under the bed. So how to open it? Well, I did what everybody else does these days. I YouTubed how to open a personal gun safe without a key code or a key. And here's what I found. When it comes to this particular Stack-On model, there was a video out there, and it looks like it was made by a 12-year-old child saying, use a paper clip in the key lock, then push it to the left and work it a little bit, and it'll open right up. And I'm thinking, oh, that's crazy. And then I looked at another YouTube video, and it was an adult, and he referenced this same YouTube video by the kid. So I'm thinking, I may as well try it. It's a lot cheaper than taking it to the locksmith. So I got a paper clip. I went and manipulated it in the key lock, and sure enough, I was able to open that gun safe. Wow. That's a little bit scary, folks, that you can use a paper clip to enter a gun safe and access a firearm. So I don't know whether or not Stack-On has fixed this clear issue with their gun safes or not. We'll reach out to them to find out. But in the meantime, if you have a Stack-On personal gun safe, one of the little ones that holds valuables or maybe holds a firearm, you might want to know this hack in case either A, you get locked out, or B, might be a time to buy a different gun safe that you can't open with a paper clip. Just saying. Stick around. We've got more of the outdoors coming your way on America Outdoors Radio.
A sharp blade makes short work of any project you have in the outdoors, in the kitchen, or in the shop. Hone your knives and tools with quality power and manual sharpeners from WorkSharp. Find out more at WorkSharpTools.com.
Ready to step up to a quality-built rifle or shotgun that's a true classic? Check out Henry Repeating Arms. American made. There's over 150 models to choose from in a variety of finishes and calibers for hunters and target shooters. Many of these are lever-action models with a classic look right out of the Old West. Don't be deceived, though. Henry Repeating Arms are modern, rugged, reliable, and have a lifetime guarantee. Find out more and order a free catalog today at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com.
Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and that means it's time to cook a turkey, and we've got just the person to help you with that. His name is Ryan Neely. He's the marketing manager for Camp Chef, located in Utah, and you can find their pellet grills and stoves all over the nation in quality hardware stores, sporting goods stores, and so many other stores too. Ryan, great to have you on the air again.
Hey, it's great to be with you, John.
So I want to talk about cooking the Thanksgiving turkey, both the Butterball variety and the wild turkey, using a pellet grill versus the traditional method of using the oven or the newer method of deep frying that turkey. Why should we use the pellet grill instead of the deep fryer or the oven?
You know, that's a really, really good question, because I've got some family members and they say, I don't like turkey. Every time, Thanksgiving comes around, I don't like turkey. Let's do something else. The reason is, they always had grandma's turkey that she put in the oven, and when that little red thing popped out, they would pull it out of the oven. And that little red thermometer that comes with pops out at like 190 degrees.
Oh.
Your target temperature is like 165.
Right. Well, that explains why we've all had dry turkey all these years, doesn't it?
That explains why everybody has had dry turkey. So hopefully that answers the quick question on the oven thing. And, pellet grills can add a lot of flavor and other things there. The deep fryer, I've had some really good deep fried turkeys. I've had some not so good ones, but you got to know what you're doing.
Right.
Just get on YouTube and search, deep fried turkey accident or fire or whatever. And a lot of houses burn down. It happens every year. Fire stations will say, don't deep fry your turkey. There's a lot of risk there.
I'll go you one better than that. Go ahead and Google on YouTube deep fried turkey William Shatner, and you'll never want to deep fry a turkey again.
Okay, I'll check that.
Trust me, folks, it's worth the laugh. Okay, so there are some dangers if you don't do it right with the deep fried turkey. I mean, if you do it right, it is delicious. The oven, you just heard, it can be really dry, but the pellet grill, with the pellets, you can basically put some real nice flavoring in there. I love the idea of an apple wood pellet grilled turkey. That sounds delicious.
It's so good. It's so good. And when you're cooking with wood, it's going to retain a lot more moisture. The bird will. We've been cooking with wood for centuries, and doing it with the pellet grill is just a little bit more automated. You select your temperature, cook that turkey, you get a really good wood-fired flavor to it. And there's a lot of other things that, that you can do to help get that best turkey. But overall, what I would suggest in a very 30-second simplified form, put whatever seasonings or herbs and spices on your turkey that you would like on top of the skin, under the skin.
Right.
Put it in your pellet grill with a temperature probe in it. Set it at 300 degrees and cook it until your temperature probe in the breast reads about 160 to 165. And then pull it out, and you will have a delicious Thanksgiving turkey. You can go a lot deeper than that, but in a simplified form, pellet grill, 300 degrees, cook it till that breast meat hits 165.
I like it. I like it a lot. Now, let's talk about wild turkey versus the butterball turkey. I mean, that butterball, it's plump, it's big, there's a lot of fat. That wild turkey, very lean. Do you prepare it and cook it differently?
Yes, you will. And the big reason that you already mentioned is, like most wild game, wild turkey is very lean. A store-bought turkey, that butterball, it is a butterball. It's named that for a reason because there's a lot of fat content there. And fat does equal flavor. So, when you're doing wild turkey, keep that in mind. It can be a little bit easier to dry out. I've had some phenomenal wild turkey. In fact, it's easily my top 3 wild game foods to eat. But, just be a little more cautious of that. Your store-bought turkey might be a little more forgiving because of that fat content that's there.
Right.
But a wild turkey is there's a lot more satisfaction that comes from eating that. There's a lot of other great things you can do, not just eating it, plucking it, and doing it whole or cutting the breast out or whatever. You can shred it. You can do enchiladas. There's a lot of other things that you could do with a wild turkey that have a great results.
Ryan, I always get hungry when I talk to you. Folks, you are listening to America Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Ryan Neely, the marketing manager for Camp Chef, about how to use a pellet grill to cook a turkey, whether it be a wild turkey or just one of those store-bought turkeys. A couple of items that Camp Chef has come up with, or I should say techniques, that help infuse flavor, that help keep that turkey moist. One of them is the turkey can, and it's kind of like the beer can chicken, except for a much bigger bird. Tell our listeners more about it.
That's exactly what it is. It's, if you're familiar with beer can chicken cooking, it's a very similar concept or idea just for a large turkey. So you can put, water or wine or beer or, water with herbs and spices in the tube, put your turkey on it, and you'll have great results. And I've done that actually in my oven too, not just on my pellet grill. And I've had great results doing that.
All right, let's talk about something else. And this one's very new to me. I saw this on your website, spatchcocking. What the heck is this all about, and how does it help you have a better turkey?
You know what? The only downside of spatchcocking is presentation when it's sitting on the table, but you're going to end up carving the turkey anyways. I would say spatchcock the turkey every time. Now, similar to the turkey cannon in beer can chicken, that helps cook it from the inside out because you have that moisture in the middle of the bird. Spatchcocking, you cut the spine of the bird, you remove the spine, and then open up the bird and press down so you break the breastbone,
right,
and you lay it flat. And what this does is it opens up the bird so things are going to cook a lot more evenly, but also helps retain that moisture so that the outside's not getting dry and the inside's staying moist, all that type of a thing. So I would highly recommend to spatchcock the bird. The other thing that you can do is practice on a chicken. If you get a whole chicken, it's going to be a lot smaller, but it's a great practice run to do that for your turkey.
That's a great idea. It'll save you a lot of heartburn with the family if you don't get it right, and it's a lot cheaper, too.
Yeah. Yeah, grab a chicken. A whole chicken is like, $5 to $8. So grab that, and you can do some practice cooks there. And then, they're not exactly the same. The meats are a little bit different, but the anatomy is all the same, and it really does help when you're doing a larger turkey.
All right. This is some great advice. Any other parting tips you would give to us turkey cooks out there for the holidays?
Yeah. You know what? That's a great question. Go to campchef.com or Google Camp Chef Guide to the Perfect Turkey. We have a whole list of really good tips there that really can help your cooking. Number one tip, I'm going to just share this one with you. Maybe not number one, but a really good tip. Get your cooler. Heat up your cooler. Put boiling water in it just so it's really hot.
Okay.
And then cook your turkey. When you're done with your turkey, put it in the cooler. Obviously, remove the water just to keep your cooler hot. Put it in the cooler. And then allow your turkey to rest.
your turkey can sit in that hot cooler for hours. Like, I've had it for 8 hours. But, plan for, you can have like an hour, 2, maybe 3 buffer. That way, when you sit down to eat, nobody's waiting on your turkey.
Wow.
You can even cook the turkey at home. You can go to the in-laws' place. You don't have to use your mother-in-law's dried out turkey. You can do it yourself. It can be delicious. When you pull it out, it's just juicy and ready to eat.
Oh, Ryan, that is indeed a great tip. Folks, if you want to find out more tips about having the perfect turkey for Thanksgiving, go to campchef.com. There's all sorts of links right on the front page. And of course, you're going to want to get a pellet grill too. And you can find out more about those at campchef.com and also find a dealer near you. Ryan, have a happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for giving us some tips to help us make it a better one too.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving, John.
By the way, this portion of the show is brought to you by our friends at WorkSharp. They're the ones that make those fantastic knife and tool sharpeners that you can use in the kitchen, you can use in the field, or you can use in the shop. And if you want one heck of a deal, I've got one for you. Go to WorkSharpTools.com, go shopping online, and when you check out, use the coupon code RADIO, because once you type in RADIO as a coupon code, you will instantly get 30% off your entire order, plus free shipping. I told you it was a deal. The code again is RADIO, and the website to shop at is WorkSharpTools.com for WorkSharp.
Attention homeowners, spending more time around your house means you're putting more stress on major appliances that keep your home running. Like many Americans, a major breakdown could be very costly during these uncertain times. AC unit goes, that's $4,500. Water heater breaks, $1,500. When you own a home, it's always something. If you have a home warranty, those repairs could cost you nothing. A Home Service Club warranty pays for the repair or replacement of your home appliances and systems when they break down, even from normal wear and tear. For about $1 a day, you can cover your home appliances and systems. It's not a question of if they'll break down, it's when. If you call now, you'll get your first month free and $75 off your first year. Make home appliance repairs one less thing to worry about. Call 800-259-1604 now for your free quote, free first month, and $75 off your first year. 800-259-1604 now. That's 800-259-1604. Again, 800-259-1604.
Our American spirit is alive and strong. And while we're all going through these unprecedented historical times, we can face these challenges together. Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Although we may wear face masks and practice social distancing, there are no restrictions on making travel memories for business or pleasure. Taking care of our Shiloh guests and employees is the very essence of what we do. At Shiloh Inns, we're open and ready to welcome you to a clean, safe home away from home. You'll find extra cleaning and sanitizing protocols in place for the safety of our guests and employees. At Shiloh Inns, we offer many free amenities like free Wi-Fi, and even the kids stay free. So book your next stay with confidence at ShilohInns.com or call 1-800-222-2244. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family-owned and proud of it.
Ready to step up to a quality-built rifle or shotgun that's a true classic? Check out Henry Repeating Arms. American made. There's over 150 models to choose from in a variety of finishes and calibers for hunters and target shooters. Many of these are lever-action models with a classic look right out of the Old West. Don't be deceived, though. Henry Repeating Arms are modern, rugged, reliable, and have a lifetime guarantee. Find out more and order a free catalog today at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com.
Immerse yourself in a complete Alaska wilderness experience through Sportsman's Cove Lodge. Up to 6 of you will spend a week in a beautiful waterfront log home in a secluded cove. Every day is a new adventure. Go on a guided fishing trip or haul in a bounty of shrimp and crab. Visit a Native American village where totem poles are carved. Go on a whale or bear watching trip and return back to your very own place at the end of the day. Find out more about the Alaska Wilderness Experience at alaskasbestlodge.com. That's alaskasbestlodge.com.
I'm gonna take you fishing, honey. You're gonna love it. Gonna get up before the sun rise above us. Got a bamboo pole and a leaky boat. It ain't much, but if you bail, it'll float.
Next on America Outdoors Radio, we've got the Metal God on the line. His name is Bill Herzog. He loves fishing for salmon and steelhead with spinners and spoons. He's even written a book on the subject about spoon fishing for steelhead that is one of Amato Publications' bestsellers, if you want to look for that. Bill, it is great to have you on the air.
Well, it's always great to talk to you, man.
I always enjoy talking to you. You've got a lot of radio experience under your belt, being the former co-host of Northwest Wild Country, which aired for nearly 20 years on Seattle Sports Radio KGR. Today, though, I want to talk about spinners and spoons for steelhead and salmon, especially this time of year. A lot of folks are twitching jigs. A lot of folks are back trolling plugs, but these old school methods, they still work, don't they?
Oh, they certainly do. And here's the best part about it. Have you ever heard the term the novel alternative in anything I've ever written or talked about? You ever heard that?
Maybe.
Okay, what it is something brand new and different. Let's say you're fishing a river somewhere, and everybody and his brother is twitching a jig, right? And say those fish have either been spooked, worked over, perhaps stung. Let's talk about, give them something totally different. Now, here comes something flashing and whipping around, something they haven't seen. Basically, you got first water no matter where you are. It's something completely different. And in my humble opinion, John, they work better than any other technique.
Well, let's start off with spoons.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, back in the 1950s, when he started fishing for steelhead, he was using Daredevil spoons, and spoons still work today.
They do. I caught my very first steelhead ever on a Daredevil spoon in the Puyallup River in 1971. People still use them. They would still work, but we got so many other great techniques and so many other things to do. You know, being steelhead fishermen, we like to catch something on something new.
Right.
Something new, you know, like, ooh, the reason you see so many people bobber dogging now with the half floats and the beads is this is fairly new, and it's exciting and new, and it works great, and it's really easy to do. So you put easy along with something new, and people are going to jump on that train pretty heavily. But if you go back in time, way back when, all there was drifting roe before we even had corkies or okies or anything. There was drifting roe, and there was spoon fishing or fly fishing, I guess. But that was it. If you were a gear angler, you had spoons and you had bait, and that was it way back in the day.
So when it comes to fishing for steelhead, when it comes to fishing for salmon, let's talk about the basic technique of fishing a spoon. And I know the most important thing is it better be ticking or banging the bottom, right?
Well, not necessarily. You think about some of the most popular techniques. When guys swing a fly, it doesn't touch the bottom. When you're using a bobber and jig doesn't touch the bottom. If you're using a plug doesn't touch the bottom. Very few techniques touch bottom except maybe drift fishing and that's lead only. So you want the spoon or a spinner close to the deck, very close as you can get it without touching the bottom, because when you touch bottom, John, two things happen. Actually, three things. You dull your hook.
Right.
The action of the lure ceases momentarily. And or number three, the tackle companies will love you for this one. You lose the lure and you have to get another one. So you want to get close to the bottom, but don't actually get there. I mean, stay away from it, but be close.
And I'm guessing the exact same rule applies when it comes to spinner fishing.
Exactly. You bet. Same thing. But the difference between spoon and the spinner is a spinner is fished upstream from your position, and a spoon is fished across and downstream from your position, about 90% of the time both ways. So even though they both are metal, they both flash, they both are completely different techniques, completely different.
Let's talk about colors. What are the colors that you recommend based on the amount of sunlight hitting the water?
Okay, well, we have to match, that's called ambient light, whatever you happen to have, and your water condition. Let's say you only have 2.5, 3 feet of visibility in the water, and you have a cloudy day. You need something with a lot of flash, right?
Right.
So you want to go silver plate. Silver or gold plate to a degree makes a yellow flash, but you want silver plating. I mean, not nickel, silver plate. That makes the big flash. You want silver plating. If you go to the other end of the spectrum, if you have really clear water and you have a bright day, well, you want to tone that down. You got to go to the attraction threshold. You want to excite the fish, but you don't want to spook them. And you can run them over the edge. If I take that silver spoon or silver bladed spinner and throw it in that clear water, you're going to see streaks going out of the tail out.
Right.
You're just going to scare them. But you want to tone that way down. That's when you want to go to like copper, dull brass, or even black when you get into those situations. So it's up to the angler to kind of pick. There's some situations when fish are very fresh, they'll bite a tennis shoe. It doesn't matter. But pay attention to your water conditions and light conditions and adjust your colors and finishes to what you got.
One last question for you here.
Mm-hmm.
You hail from the Pacific Northwest, and you've caught steelhead from Northern California up into BC, as well as Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and a lot of other places I don't even know about. The techniques you're talking about, do they work as well for steelhead and salmon in the tributaries of the Great Lakes and for tributaries of the Atlantic where folks are fishing for Atlantic salmon? Do these same techniques work for these fish too?
Oh, absolutely. The Atlantic salmon is basically the long-lost brother of a steelhead. And they do. Back in Britain especially, I know guys I've met through my travels who fish gear in Great Britain, and they say the same thing. They say, sir, you got to use silver plating when there's colors in the water. And when it's not, you better tone it way down. You're going to scare the nonsense out of them.
Love it.
The thing.
Love
so
it.
That's what they do the same thing over there. So yeah, wherever you are, Great Lakes, Norway, doesn't really matter where you are. Pick your colors to match your water and light conditions.
All right, we've got about 30 seconds left. Let's plug your book. Let's give out the title and where folks can get it.
Best place to get it is online through Amato Publications, AmatoBooks.com, and look for Spoon Fishing for Steelhead. You'll see a very young me without gray hair all over the book, and some really nice fish, too. And some the techniques are timeless. That's the best part of it. That book, 100 years from now, will still be relevant. That's what I love about it.
That's Spoon Fishing for Steelhead by Bill Herzog. Check it out. Amato Publications website. Get yourself a copy. I've got one, and I'll tell you what, folks, his advice, it works. So go ahead and put it to use. Get more salmon and steelhead into your net this fall. Bill, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
My pleasure, man.
In other news, Veterans Day may be in the rearview mirror, but we've got news for veterans and Gold Star families, and I think they're going to like what they're about to hear. The Secretary of the Interior, David Bernhardt, has announced that starting now, Gold Star families and U.S. military veterans will be granted free access to national parks, wildlife refuges, and other federal lands managed by the Department of the Interior. In addition to this, lands and waters managed by the U.S. Forest Service and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will also be participating in the program. This entry fee waiver doesn't cover amenity or user fees for activities such as camping, transportation, recreation permits, or special tours, but it does cover entrance fees where they are levied. Now, to take advantage of this, you have to have an ID with you, and they have to be specific IDs. And this applies for veterans who served not only on active duty, but also those who have served in the National Guard and the Reserves. Here's the valid IDs that'll work for you. You can have a Department of Defense identification card. You can have a Veteran Health Identification card, a Veteran ID card, or veteran's designation on a state-issued U.S. driver's license or identification card. Any of those will work. Just show those at the entrance gate, and you will be in for free. It's a nice way to show appreciation to our veterans, and I hope all of you out there that are veterans will take advantage of this and visit some of the best places you can visit in our United States. We've got to wrap up our show, but I want to remind you, it's your very last chance to enter our Facebook giveaway. We're giving away a $100 Hunter's Package. This includes a sheath knife with a gut hook on it, a pocket knife sharpener from our friends at WorkSharp, a map case from Browning, a 2021 calendar from Ducks Unlimited, some odor body control wash, a nice Hunter's orange beanie hat, and even a camo cozy. If you want to win all this, just go to our America Outdoors Radio Facebook page, like and follow the page. That's step one. Step two, Go to the post at the top of the page where we've got this contest. Simply let us know what city and state you're from. That's all you have to do to enter. If you want a bonus entry, let us know what station you're listening to as well. We're going to draw the winner after our last broadcast this Sunday, November 15th, and one lucky person will win this $100 Hunter's Package. I hope it is you, but it won't be you if you don't enter. Here's hoping that you are blessed in the days ahead. Here's hoping you stay healthy as this pandemic continues to ravage our nation. And here's hoping you get outside for some much-needed time away from the stress that seems to surround us at this time of year. Until next time, do remember this. It is your country and you're outdoors, so get out there and enjoy it.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers is the voice for your public lands, waters, and wildlife. From the Canadian Yukon to the Florida Everglades, we're stepping up to conserve North America's public lands, defend our hunting and fishing traditions, and expand public access to the outdoors. Our outdoor heritage depends on sportsmen and women like you speaking up for the natural resources that sustain our way of life. Find out how you can get involved at backcountryhunters.org and become a BHA member today.